And if you don't resolve these emotions, it affects your energy and like your physical body. So at Illuminations, we wanted to create a space where we help people heal at all levels of our existence, your thoughts, emotions, energy, and the physical body, thereby creating more of a preventive approach rather than working, on a cure, and that's the reason why we...
Hello and welcome to the Come Alive podcast. Today we are discussing something that I strongly believe in with someone very special. She is the founder of Illuminations, Dubai's first premier well-being center, offering a wide range of services based on holistic healing, mental well-being, and personal growth. As a certified holistic therapist, she has been instrumental in pioneering the holistic healing and well-being industry in Dubai by introducing life-transforming techniques which positively impact one's mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Since 2007, Illuminations has made a huge contribution towards individuals, educational institutes, and corporate organizations in Dubai. By popularizing the concept of daily meditation classes, promoting world-renowned healers and authors, curating unique wellness travel programs, and offering top-quality holistic healing education through their renowned training academy, Illuminations has touched the lives of more than 40,000 people by helping them tap into their highest potential and become the best version of themselves. She has been featured on the cover of Startup magazine as a leader in the wellness business. She had also won Ehlan Awards for Young Achievers in Business in the year 2014. Her new upcoming project is Sanskara, a retreat center and conscious eatery. She is Sonia Kiran Punjabi, the person behind the game-changing techniques that have a positive impact on one's mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And I'm super happy to have her on my show today. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you so much.
This is really amazing what I read.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
To have achieved all this in early part of your life, I want to say.
Well, not so early anymore. I'm just turned 39, so it's definitely been a journey. But my journey began at the age of 19 years old when a friend of mine had passed away in a car accident. I went through a bit of an existential crisis where I began questioning who we are, why are we here, and what is the purpose of our lives if everything that we hold so dearly can be just taken away from us within moments. And that really got me questioning about the purpose of life, And at the time I was graduating from London, and a friend of mine had given me a book called Many Lies, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. And I read that book and it completely fascinated me about the mind, about hypnosis, about what happens to the soul when we pass on. And it helped me answer a lot of questions during my time of grieving. And I really wanted to learn more. And I think that book kickstarted me on my journey. And after I graduated from college, I told myself I'm from India, the land of mysticism and spirituality. I'm sure there could be people to help me answer a lot more questions that I had about life. And I was in India one day in Bombay, and I Googled past life regression, and I came across a name of a doctor by the name of Yuvraj Kapadia. And I met him for a half an hour. He's a metaphysician and a clinical hypnotherapist. And mind you, this was back in 2005 when concepts such as mindfulness, meditation, manifestation were largely unknown to so many of us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I visited him, and within that half an hour, he explained to me that everything that's happening around you is happening because of what's happening within you. And if you want to change what's in your outer reality, you got to change what's happening within yourself. So everything that you're manifesting is because of your own thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and your subconscious mind. And I was like, wait a second. So if I have created the reality that I'm experiencing, I have the power to uncreate it and recreate the life that I want. And at 23 and 24, that was a very exciting prospect for me. And that's when I began my journey. I experienced my I experienced a lot of holistic healing techniques, but hypnosis was the way I was introduced on my path. So it's very special. It has a very special place in my heart. And I experienced a hypnosis healing. And within that half an hour, I just had this blissful experience where I was aware of everything around me, but I was in a place of peace and contentment deep from within. It's something I haven't really experienced before. And after that experience, or that half an hour, I kind of felt that I'd reconnected with my soul. And in that moment, I just felt like life completely changed for me. I wanted to know more. I wanted to kind of reconnect with this inner peace and contentment that resides within each and every one of us. And that's where I began my journey. I experienced every healing technique possible, from inner child work to understanding the trauma in my childhood, to understanding my limiting belief systems, my emotions, my thought processes, even like my judgments with life. And I was able to gain an expanded awareness and really understand what it feels like to experience the power of the self, the mind, and consciousness. And after that journey, I think it was about 3 to 4 months, I pretty much gave up everything, including what I learned in my college education. And I just read. I read a lot of books. I read about angels. I read about the universe. I read about holistic healing techniques, about behavioral approaches. And I was completely intrigued. At that point in time, I had just moved back to the UAE, and I wanted to cultivate my own practice because I'd also gained the power of a meditation practice. And for me to be able to cultivate that on a daily basis, I wanted to connect with like-minded people. So I Googled, I looked everywhere. This was back in 2006. There was nothing then, right? And then I said, if it's not there, I'd love to create it. And because, we come from a network and a community where we know a lot of people, be it friends and family, a lot of people had noticed or witnessed a lot of changes and transformation within myself. And I spoke about it so passionately. And I think every individual aspires to live a happier, healthier, peaceful, and contented life, Yes. We all look at this happiness in different ways. A lot of us look at it in, retail or shopping or clothing or relationships. But I think at the end of the day, the end goal is that we're all just truly looking to be happy, content, and having that peace of mind. Yes. And so when I started to talk about it with people, everyone was so intrigued. I invited my teachers down from India completely on a voluntary basis because I'd gained so much value with them. Yes. And I said, why don't you guys come down and, let us organize some talks for you and some workshops and some one-on-one healing sessions, and maybe we'll see how people respond. And sure enough, they came down. In our first talk, I remember this, I created a flyer which I distributed in supermarkets because I think social media was not yet as popular. Yes. So I just wrote SMSs to people, and, I wrote a flyer which said, who are we? Why are we here? And what is the purpose of our lives? I look back in retrospect and think that was quite an intense question to ask people who probably never thought about it. But, honestly, so many people were intrigued, and we had about 45 people in the seminar. And from then onwards, that's when the chain reaction and the spiral began, and people wanted to know more. So after that, my teachers would come down every month. And in the end, they told me after 3 months, they were like, you're so great at this. Why don't you make this a career? But at that time, how do you make a career in, healing? There was no such sort of benchmark, or I didn't know what I was doing. And so I said, okay. I was in the shower one day and I said, why don't I call it Illuminations? It just came to me. I don't even know how. And after that began my journey. I said, I'm going to start a holistic healing and events space. As luck would have it, or as the universe would, have it, a lot of people got in touch with me from Australia, from locally in Dubai, and they say, I hear you organize holistic healing events. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm an NLP coach. And I never knew a lot of these approaches. I said, great. Let me try it for myself. If I gain value out of it, I'd love to promote and spread the awareness. And that's exactly how it started. So between 2006 to 2008, I was organizing events at hotels, and my teachers, wanted to grow internationally. So I contacted my friends in Hong Kong, in Bangkok, in like all over Asia. And I told my practitioners, let's just go on a tour, because I actually was young. I just wanted to travel, and, I wanted to just cultivate my own practice and be around my healers and teachers so I could learn more from them.
Absolutely.
So we went on an Asia tour, and after that, that's when I, started to just basically grow the company. And at that time, it wasn't even an established company. It was just like I created a website and a business card, and that's what got me going. And in 2008, my teacher told me, he's like, why don't you train to become a practitioner? Because honestly, we can't keep coming back to Dubai every time. But if you train to become a practitioner, at least you can then empower yourself to help other people. Because I would talk about this inspiring knowledge, but I didn't have a way or an outlet to actually help people change. And so I trained for 1 year to become a practitioner. I became a holistic healing practitioner and a clinical hypnotherapist. And that's when I began my private practice. I would see almost 8 clients a day, and I would charge the humble amount of 100 dirhams per client. And I rented a small place, like a villa in Jumeirah. And I would continue organizing events in parallel. And the events part of the story grew. I brought down practitioners from the UK, from Australia, from India. And till then, I had never even thought of opening a wellness center. I actually had applied for a license with the KHDA, and they rejected it twice because they were like, what do you actually do?
I wanted to ask you about that. How did UAE take this? And you were answering.
They didn't take it very well in the beginning. They were like, are you going to take over somebody's mind? But eventually I spoke to them about it, and I educated them and told them that it was about stress management training. It was helping people live happier. Yes. And I finally in 2010 got a KHDA license. And that's when I opened my first headquarters in JLT. At the time, it was a 2009-10 recession that was going on in the UAE. So I got a massive space for a very great rent. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And over that time, I had put everything together that I'd earned from 2006 to 2010. And I finally, with all my hard-earned money, opened a space in JLT. And that is when I became from a one-man show into an organization. So everything changed a lot, right? Yeah, so absolutely. Here it was me, I was doing the accounts, I was doing the admin, I was doing the marketing, I was doing everything, right? And then now, obviously, I had to have a team. So that's how I began to grow my team. And then I began to introduce many verticals. So we started offering one-on-one sessions. We began a training institute. We launched a bit of a retail space. In 2014, I loved travel. And I said, if I can align my passion with my profession, then it's great because I win both ways. And so I organized wellness retreats, and we took our clients to Bhutan, Africa, Iceland, Japan. And I was always working. So the only excuse I had to travel was through my wellness retreats. And that's just how the business grew. And then I had clients who said, I love the Illuminations concept. I wanted to open one. And that's how we grew into branches in Murdif, in Abu Dhabi, in India. And that's pretty much been the journey of my career in terms of my professional approach. But yeah, so that's been a very exciting and, along the way, I feel I've learned so much about people. I have been very grateful that a lot of people have, trusted Illuminations and trusted myself with their lives, with their, most intimate emotions, with their greatest fears. Yes. And it just makes me realize that everybody at the end of the day is the same. We all have the same hopes. We all have the same fears. We all have the same goals. We all have the same aspirations. And that is where I feel truly grateful and most lucky for.
Absolutely. So, there's no doubt for the contribution you've made to the community and to UAE, I feel. Because when I started my journey with Theta Healing, in fact, I was just starting my journey, and I always would hear that some of the healers were practicing in Illuminations. Yeah. And at that time, I was living in Mankool. Yeah, so for me to come to JLT would be a trek. So I was like, okay, but I always heard about it. How do you practice? Where do you practice? They're like, Illuminations. And though we knew each other before that, I had not formally understood what you do, because even I was very new. Yeah. I was very new to Theta Healing. I had just started my journey again to overcome my fears, to overcome my beliefs, to overcome everything that was inside me, which was causing pain. Right. I started learning theta healing and trying to help myself.
Right.
So that's when I used to hear about Illuminations, but I have all along my journey heard, because I've been in touch with that side of my life. And in fact, I believe that what doctors cannot cure, I think healing can cure.
Yeah.
So a small example, I got this huge attack of vertigo. And actually that's when I came to Illuminations with one of the healers there. She did sound therapy on me and theta healing on me.
Yes.
And after that incident, I never got vertigo again.
Really? Yeah.
It was such a bad attack of vertigo that I had to be admitted for 2 days in the hospital.
Right.
The spinning or whatever you call it would just not go.
Yeah.
They injected me, they gave me whatever drips they had to,
Right.
but it would just not stop.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live like that.
Yeah, of course.
So I said, I'm not going to live like that. I'm going to find a solution to this, because they gave me medication to just have it. And I was like, I'm not going to live on medication.
Yeah, exactly.
So I actually did that at Illuminations.
Yeah.
And
exactly. That was our, that was the whole approach, because when we first took like Illuminations, everyone was like, are you a yoga center? No, we're not a yoga center. Are you a clinical psychology space? I said, no, we're not. Are you a meditation center? I was like, well, meditation is just the appetizer, on the surface. There's so much more than that.
Yes.
What I wanted to do was help people understand the integrated approach to life, So at Illuminations, the reason and the philosophy was that we operate on all levels of existence. We operate on the level of our thoughts.
More about this, because I think not all of us are aware of this. So please go as deep as you can.
Exactly. So like we believe that everything in your life begins with a thought. Every thought generates an emotion that you feel. Every emotion affects your energy levels or the auras and the chakras. And eventually, if you do not resolve your issues at the level of your thoughts, at the level of your emotions, at the level of your energy, it will eventually manifest in the physical body as aches or pain or like disease. So what we do at Illuminations is help you to identify the causality or the root cause of your issue, which is arising from your thought processes. Now, where do your thoughts come from? Your thoughts come from like your beliefs, which stem from your experiences right from the day you were born.
Correct.
And we believe even previous to that, actually.
Yes, I believe
we believe in our ancestors.
Yes.
We believe in our past lives. We believe in the neonatal, in the mother's womb. So your experiences you've collected from so many areas,
Correct.
And that is just basically makes up who you are. That influences your thoughts. That influences your beliefs.
Yes.
And based on your thoughts, you generate emotions.
Correct.
And if you don't resolve these emotions, it affects your energy and like your physical body. So at Illuminations, we wanted to create a space where we help people heal at all levels of our existence, your thoughts, emotions, energy, and the physical body, thereby creating more of a preventive approach rather than working, on a cure, and that's the reason why we started. And we felt like there are a lot of holistic healing modalities which can help you address your root cause at the level of your thoughts. So example, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, work on the level of the mind, right? Then you have EFT, which is emotional tapping, works on the level of your emotions. Then you have all the type of energy healing modalities like Reiki, pranic healing, the reconnection, which work on the energy level. And then you have work with the body, which is naturopathy. So you can have acupressure, you can have osteopathy, you can have anything that has already reached the level of the body can actually help you heal through the meridians by releasing any blocks you have in the physical body. So that was the approach that we wanted people to bring awareness of, so that, it is not just about, it's not just about a yoga session, or it's not just about going for an acupuncture session, but really understanding who you are and why you have the origins of your thoughts and beliefs, and really addressing your issues in a very compassionate way,
Yes,
I think,
absolutely.
People are so hard on themselves, I feel, like, including myself in the beginning as well. Like, I want to change this about myself, At the end of the day, all of us are broken,
Yes.
And that is the human experience. The human experience is about being broken, but it is still knowing that you can feel whole whilst being broken.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key, because we spend our whole lives trying to heal.
Yeah.
We spend our whole lives, okay, I have to work on my childhood trauma. There could be experiences which you may or may not know coming from anywhere. But you realize that, grief, sadness, anger are all part of the human experiences.
Yes.
And we slowly learn to understand that you can't always heal things. You have to learn to accept it and still feel whole, even knowing that you have broken parts of you, because you never know. I always think that, I'm completely over my issues. And then 2 weeks later, I have a trigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't know where that trigger is coming from. Now, if I go back and dig, there are many places that I can find it, and I think people are always then trying to run away from anything that makes them feel bad and trying to run towards always what's making them feel good. But I think we need to kind of slowly move out of that and just really address that life is all about the dark and the light, actually, and it's about really embracing the experience for what it is and using your negative or limiting experiences as gateways to understand and explore yourself in different ways.
Absolutely.
So my new upcoming project like Sanskara is all about that, After 20 years in the wellness world, I have come to the conclusion that people are so, obsessed with modalities, right? They're obsessed with healing, and they're obsessed with trauma and therapy and, meditation and so many different approaches. But in the end, what is it that we want to do with these approaches, right? Once we integrate these approaches, what is it that we want to feel? We want to feel happy. We want to feel more tolerant. We want to feel more content. We want to feel more love. We want to feel more nourishment. So I think it's all about values, right? These are like meditation, healing, therapy is a byproduct of eventually we want to have these values in our life, and we want to live these values in our business, in our relationships, in our expression to the world. And I think that makes us understand that whatever we're looking for out there is actually deep within here.
Yes.
And if we can really cultivate these values from within, it's like returning home to yourself.
So well said. Yeah. Beautifully said. It's returning back home, because we are actually meant to be that.
Exactly.
But along this line, along this life and this journey, we forget, we get broken, we don't understand, we don't accept and things like that. But ultimately, it's all within us. So very well said. So I want to take you a little bit back. I loved what you said and what you expressed, that it's about the thoughts and things like that. So for a newcomer, like somebody who wants to get started on this journey, how would Illuminations help? Like suppose I give a call to Illuminations saying that I'm feeling this. Yeah. How does it work? Because I know there are multiple healers, multiple counselors there.
Exactly.
Can you take me through the journey? Because a lot of people get confused. Like I had my sister-in-law visit from Spain and she wanted to also approach someone, but she was very lost.
Yeah.
So I did try to guide her, but again, I was not sure because I'm also not into this industry so much. Of course, I use it all the time with a few healers I know personally. Yeah. But I want to know the Illuminations journey so, people find it easy to approach.
Of course. So at Illuminations, like I said, most of our practitioners are trained holistic health professionals, which means they might have a degree in like psychology or in therapy or in trauma release, but they also combine it with energy healing modalities and they also work with the body, right? Okay. So they help heal at all levels of existence.
Like how do we book an appointment, thoughts. I want to say.
Yeah, so you book an appointment and a lot of people, like you rightly said.
But who do we book an appointment with? Suppose I need a need, like I have a need, like I'm feeling unwell, like my back is paining regularly.
Sure.
So how do I approach that? Like how do I find the right healer for me?
Right, exactly. So this is interesting because when you call up Illuminations, you express your concern. Okay. We actually have categorized our space not as holistic healing approaches. Like it's very rare that a person will call Illuminations and say, oh, I want a Reiki healing session. Normally, they will give you their problem. They will say either one of 8 things. They'll say, I have a relationship issue. They will say, I'd like to quit smoking. They would say, I'm going through a lot of stress. They would say, I'm going through loss or grief. They would say, I have a chronic ache or pain.
Got it.
Now, we have practitioners, and a lot of the holistic healing practitioners are trained to work on all levels of existence, right?
Fantastic.
Your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, and your physical body. So when you book a consultation, the people working at Illuminations are trained to understand, what your issue is and guide you to 1 or 2 practitioners to basically get a complimentary consultation. We always offer a complimentary consultation at Illuminations. Why? Because largely it depends on your rapport with the therapist. It depends on your level of trust. It depends on your level of, mutual understanding and sharing, right? It's not about always the practitioner who has the best skill. It's also the practitioner who can get into the heart of the matter and be able to relate to you. And you might end up resonating with one more than the other. So once you begin your journey, that practitioner takes you through a journey, okay, and will help you heal at the level of your thoughts to understand the origin of your thought processes. Because as I explained earlier, everything begins with a thought. The practitioner will also use breathwork techniques to help you release emotions that you have been holding on to from your childhood, from your past experiences. Our therapists also are now trained to work on the energetic level, because many times people come in there and if I ask you to close your eyes and relax, you're not able to do that, right? Because you have so much external stress that when you come in, you just kind of want to relax and integrate and stay grounded. So a lot of the energy work kind of helps you to just remain in a sort of ease and flow. Post that is when the practitioner starts to work on you when it comes to inner child work, depending on exactly what the issue is. So if it's quit smoking, we use another concept, If it is working with your inner child, it could be in terms of your relationships, or it could be working with EMDR or trauma release if you've had a major incident that you wanted to overcome. So it depends really what the issue is, but our whole approach is a holistic healing approach.
Beautiful.
In fact, we don't focus so much on the modalities. The modalities are the way we help you get there by integrating it all. But many times, most individuals don't really need to know what we actually do.
Awesome.
As long as you have the problem, we will help you resolve it through combining a variety of integrated holistic healing modalities, which are evidence-based, researched, and that is basically how. Of course, we do offer specific type of approaches. For example, ancient healing approaches like shamanism, because nowadays a lot of people are interested in ancient cultures and how nature can help heal. Or a lot of people are interested in sound healing. So there are specific approaches that people definitely ask for. And our goal, which is why we launched the Training Academy, is to say that, in fact, we create our competition. Most of the practitioners working in the UAE many of them are trained through Illuminations. And we wanted to do that because our eventual goal, or why did I start this? I started this because I wanted to reach out to as many people as possible, right? So if I empowered people to go out and help other people, we'd then be able to create more change makers and well-being professionals that would then be able to impact more lives. And that was my agenda and my goal from the very beginning,
That's super beautiful. And it's so, I feel it's so giving and loving, this whole notion, and the very fact that you said you wanted to make this change, and that's your mission, like kind of make this change, and hence Illuminations actually trains practitioners. That's so beautiful. And how does this journey feel to you when you are making this change along the way? How do you feel about it? I mean, I want to talk about, my thesis has been self-love. So what's your definition of self-love? I mean, you've achieved so much, I want to say, in these 20 years, and which is commendable. You've made a difference and you've created an impact in society. How do you define self-love?
I mean, I would definitely say there have been moments where I have been very challenging and hard on myself. I wouldn't say it's always, because, at the end of the day, see, like I said, when I was a one-man show, life was easy, right? Because you were in charge and in control of everything. But the moment you became an organization, you had to interact with more people. We are in the wellness industry, you have a lot of human capital, right? You have your clients, you have your therapist, and then you have your employees. So there's so many people to deal with on a daily basis that it can definitely sometimes be challenging, because as much as you try to, remain in charge of what's going on, there are a lot of things outside of your control, because you're managing so many people, so many egos, a lot of, personality traits. And that has definitely been a huge challenge for me, to be honest, because I was very great working, within myself. But the moment I had to interact with so many people, that I've always found that, extremely challenging.
So what did these challenges teach you?
I think these challenges taught me that, like I said, everybody's good in their core. Everybody's a good human being in their core. And I just think that certain belief systems, and, the more awareness you have, that, your childhood associations, your traumas, kind of motivate people to behave in the way that they do. And I think likewise for myself as well. I think that when I began my career early on, I was still young, right? So I think only age and experience can give you that sort of wisdom, because till then it's knowledge, right? It's only when that knowledge is 100% integrated in your everyday life can you call it wisdom. So there are many times that I was able to integrate that knowledge, and there are many times I also am human and I wasn't able to do that. So I had issues when it came to stress, when it came to fear. In 2019, the government of Dubai told me to close down my business, after working in the industry for like 10 years. So obviously that was a very challenging moment in my time,
How did you win it over, I want to say?
I think through belief, and I think through a lot of faith and resilience. I think where I practice the maximum amount of love for myself is resilience, knowing that everything that's coming my way is a challenge to help me grow, to help me evolve and become the best version of myself.
I agree.
And if I can stay true to that, and I always think that sometimes I believe the people who've chosen the path or the school of life or the school of learning, definitely will have a lot of curveballs thrown at, their way. I've just noticed that, I think you choose before you come here exactly what life I'm sure you can relate, right?
Absolutely.
And, I feel like you've chosen a certain path, and many times there are people who are so ignorantly blissful, and I think that maybe why did I question all of this, because I feel the more you know, the more responsible you are, and the more responsible you are, the greater power you have because of the responsibility that you have. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because it can make you feel like, I just want to give this all up and relax on a beach and just be normal, and not have
absolutely. I feel that.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Because I manage the business, I have my podcast, I've just written my second book, I'm mother, wife, daughter.
Yeah.
So I just
trying to juggle all those things.
Yes, and I stretch myself. I stretch myself a lot, like you said, and I feel very responsible for my team at work, for my clients, my coaching clients, for my guests on my podcast. I feel very responsible to give them this great experience, to be able to contribute and to, of course, learn from them. But I feel the same. But I love what you said. I think it really gave me peace right now that we have chosen this.
Yeah.
And we just become a better version of ourselves by going through these challenges and by going through these obstacles thrown at us.
Yeah, exactly.
So beautiful.
And I think in terms of like loving myself, I do take out, I take out a lot of time. When I look back, I built a business, I traveled the world. I can, because I don't have kids, because I don't have commitments in that sense. Like whenever I want to pick up and leave, I'm able to do that. I'm able to, meet so many types of people from all walks of life. I became a practitioner and a teacher. So I've really enjoyed my time. I've done whatever I could, when it comes to like meditation, when it comes to taking care of myself, when it comes to working out, when it comes to doing what makes me happy. So my whole life, in fact, I think I have had so much space and freedom to do what makes me happy. And I think that's probably a reflection of completely loving myself. I think for me right now, it would be so challenging. And it is challenging, right? Being like responsible for other people or being responsible, because it's hard, right? And I feel like that is the next part of my life coming. And I feel like the initial part of my life was just about doing what I want to make me happy, because at the end of the day, I chose to be in this profession. I chose to do what I want, and I am doing what I love, to be honest.
Yes.
So every day is a practice of loving myself, because I'm doing what I felt like I was supposed to do. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful. And that's so powerful as well, right?
Yeah.
If you choose the path of loving what you do, then there is no burnout. You don't get tired. You still love and you still grow.
Yeah. I would say there definitely is burnout, because as with any other profession, right? I think when there is, you overexert yourself, there's always that space of, there's always that space of maybe stretching yourself too much, as you would say. So.
And what made the center so strong? What was it that, like persistence, and you spoke about perseverance, persistence, and like you said that you're so passionate about doing this, and even there could be burnout at days when, you really, really want to do and achieve something.
Yeah.
So what is that one thing, like what is your drive, and what is that one thing that makes the center so special and so strong and so famous right now?
I think initially it was obviously is because, we came at a time when nobody knew about wellness, right? So we launched so many years ago. So, and obviously I stuck to the path. It's been a lot of hard work, right? Our practitioners, we've had some of the best practitioners, who have helped contribute to our vision. That's number one. We've, as it's always important to empower other people to be successful. And one of the things Illuminations does very successfully, it empowers other people to be practitioners, empowers other people to be successful.
True leadership, I would say. You're
and
a
I
true
think,
leader.
and I think that is really important. Like even in terms of my staff and my team, right? Initially, I obviously could not afford to have this massive organization. So I would hire employees who were very much at the junior level of their career, and they sort of grew with me. I invested a lot of time in them. One of my main customer service professionals was a nanny before working with me. And after working with us, she ended up being one of like winning the employee of the year after year, because I think they were just so committed and driven, and they realized how hard I was working for the business. I think a lot of them also kind of, modeled that, I feel, and they also grew in their professional lives away, like in a big way. So I feel like our success has always been, or I feel my success has always been to empower people to always do best. Even if it means being tough on them, it's always doing their best. And I think that's where we've been really strong. And number two is our process. I always wanted to create an organization where tomorrow, if I'm not around, for example, the process and, the processes or the SOPs would be exactly how they are. And that has given me the space to actually grow because, my team has been able to, just replicate those processes really well and truly understand. So I spend a lot of time in training them. I spend a lot of time in investing in them. And that's pretty much how, and I think lastly is really understanding what people need. I think being in the industry for such a long time, you get a pulse of where the industry is heading, in terms of wellness, in terms of the new approaches, in terms of the new modalities coming, in terms of the mindset of the people. Like when I first began my journey in 2006, people had no awareness, right? Today, our clients have more awareness than we do. So it's just about understanding the pulse of the audience and evolving with that time,
So adaptability and evolution, and
I think so.
Being able to also understand, wow, that's
I think the
beautiful.
pulse of the business.
I love the three reasons you just said, and it's so valid. I feel even in other businesses to be able to empower, to be able to guide, to have the right processes to grow.
Right.
So it's like like I said, you're a true leader. I mean,
thank you so much.
You do lead by example, and
I mean, now there is a whole millennial, like a younger Gen Z generation that's coming along, and the way they think is completely different. And I think that's where we as Illuminations do find it challenging, because a lot of it is, for example, online. But I think, regardless of the environment, I think what's most important is the value that you offer. What value add are you providing in people's lives? And I think when that value is coming from a true and genuine space, be it any healing modality. And I think after a while, as you evolve in a business, you can understand, the core of people. Like you understand what they do, you understand their genuinity, like you understand their compassion. And I think that's really essential in a business. What type of value add are you offering? And I think if people see that value, regardless of how many other spaces come around or how many therapists they see, I think people come back to that. And I think that's really important.
So how do you offer that value? By the products, or is it like, do you have a secret recipe, I want to say? I mean,
it depends. So, one of the knacks that I have is, choosing the right therapists. Like everybody tells me like, because I just feel that it's not just about your knowledge or skill. It's about your integration.
So you personally look into
every day till today. Yeah.
Practitioner will join your
So I onboard every single practitioner, institute, or collaboration that we have, because I feel that I need to resonate with it. And I think many times, the mistake I made, to be honest, was I onboarded people who had great skill, but I did not share the same values as them. And I think that is so important.
That's so important.
Exactly.
In any business.
And when you're younger, because, by the way a person speaks, by their profile, by their popularity, the younger version of me would get, carried away and be like, of course I need them at Illuminations. And they would do extremely well for 1 or 2 years. And it was very profitable financially, but eventually when your values don't match, it can hurt your business rather than help your business. So that is a great lesson that I learned, you know.
I agree.
And I think it's not about judgment. I think it's just about resonating and having alignment.
The same energy and alignment. Yes, and
exactly.
There's no right and wrong in life anyways.
Exactly. And I think for me, today, I do not compromise those values in spite of anything, you know, even if it means that we have, you know, less practitioners or less clients, because I know that in the long run, it doesn't serve either party involved. So yeah. And that's why I call it like Sanskara values, because values are the cornerstones of our existence, you know. They're the threads that are woven into the fabric of our everyday lives. And we live our values, right? We live it through our business.
Our compass.
You know, it's our compass. It's our, you know.
Guiding light. It's everything. And we can actually, I remember attending this amazing workshop by Dr. John DeMartini.
Yes, he's amazing. Yeah.
And he only talks about values. He said, a human is only true to its values. They will never be true to anybody else in life or anything else.
Exactly.
But the values is something that we are true to always.
Exactly.
So that's when I actually learned how important values are in our life and in our daily life.
Exactly.
So very well said. And I'm so glad that you use these things in running your business, your life, and your leadership. It's fantastic. So tell us about your upcoming project, Sanskara.
So Sanskara is all about values. It's a retreat center, a conscious eatery, and a transformation chamber. So it's more than just a wellness like space or wellness center. It's more of an invitation to return home to yourself. You know, over the last 18 years, in my experience within the wellness industry, although it has been amazing because there's been so much awareness, there has been so much expansion in terms of our consciousness and understanding about wellness. But I also feel there has been a lot of mass commercialism in the industry.
Yes.
I also feel that sometimes people are missing the real message, right? They're more keen about gaining a lot of knowledge and trying to seek. So they seek through therapists, they seek through books, they seek through modalities, they're always trying to look at everything outside themselves. And that's really amazing for the first part of your journey, right? Because when you first enter the wellness world or the spiritual world, or you walk your path, you want to learn from every guru, teacher, healer, author there is out there. But then there comes a point, you know, that point where it's time to consolidate, when it's time to remain grounded, and when it's time to integrate. So it's not just about acquiring knowledge, but it's also about the integration of that knowledge in your everyday life in order to really reflect on your values. And I feel like, you know, from a lot of people that I've met recently, or the way the industry is going, I feel that's sort of a missing link, you know. And what I wanted to do with Sanskara is bring the importance of our values back to ourselves, you know. It's inspired by ancient cultures like Sanskara, and just the whole like oneness that was present in ancient times that is not there like now. You know, just the whole idea of simplicity, the idea of, you know, just integration. And so I decided that I wanted to create a beautiful retreat space that really helps people return back home to themselves, you know, by realizing,
so awesome.
And it's a very unique concept. It you know, we are obviously expanding on a more professional level into more of a health approach of like evidence-based wellness practices. And the uniqueness or the true integration is every practitioner working at Sanskara is a medical professional who has made that beautiful crossover into a holistic healing approach. So they integrate both the worlds so beautifully in order to provide a space for transformation. Yeah. Working a lot on chronic aches and pains, like diseases. And of course, through understanding both the root issue, but approaching it from a very gentle way. You know, not so much of trying to dig, okay, you have a problem and I'm going to help you resolve it and fix it, but more from a very empathetic, loving and compassionate way to see your trauma, your pain and your brokenness as equal important parts of you as your wholeness and your completion and your love. And just becoming,
so deep and so beautiful.
So it's sometimes really hard to explain, but when you enter Sanskara and the ethos of Sanskara and the principles are just really guided by, you don't have to give up anything. It's not about extremism. It's not about a wellness trend. Oh, I have to be a vegan. Oh, I have to be plant-based. Oh, I have to be keto. Oh, I have to be this. It's just about finding that balance. So I think the wellness trends and gimmicks are getting lost. The message is getting lost. And I feel like people just need to find that sense of balance and integration. And health and wellness means different things to different people, right? And I think we need to come from a space of respecting that. And it's for your everyday people, right? Like I know so many of my friends who are extremely spiritual. They might have never, experienced meditation in their lives, but they have such great values that that's the end goal, right? And they just want a space where they can feel a sense of wholeness and balance and an invitation to return home to themselves without feeling intimidated,
I love the tagline and I love the whole concept and the theme. Yeah. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
And what's even more special was last week I got an opportunity to meet His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And one of the things which I didn't really know, so the day before meeting him, I watched a documentary, and what he says is, it doesn't matter what religion you come from, what race you come from, what culture you come from, how you meditate. The importance is human values. That is the way to true happiness. So it was so ironic, like meeting him and knowing that, and then like saying, oh my God, I'm creating Sanskara. And what was even more interesting was in 2015, I went to Lhasa in Tibet, and I went to the room that he lived his early years in. So I wanted to share all of this with him, but I was so overwhelmed by his energy and that I wasn't able to say much. But yeah, that was a very interesting experience for me.
I mean, simply beautiful. I'm speechless. I'm speechless, Sonia. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing everything so authentically. I mean, I think your passion, your purpose, your energy, it said it all. I mean, it was such a beautiful and authentic conversation. Thank you again. And I am so proud to have this time with you today. I mean, I can only wish you more power to contribute and impact more lives.
Thank you.
All over the world.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Come Alive podcast. I hope you loved the show as much I love being with Sonia, and more power to her to contribute more to humanity, to society, to communities. And if you've liked the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and share it with whoever needs to hear it. All the best. Lots of love.